Two fascinating games of snooker coming up, all of course live. You do not miss a ball right here on Eurosport. We begin with the world number 3, Judd Trump. He takes on former snooker shootout winner Robin Hull. And then we're back later, of course. There'll be a lot of support for Steve Maguire playing in front of his home crowd. He takes on Alex Borg. And I'm delighted to welcome to the couch alongside Alan McManus, who bothered to turn up this afternoon. Alongside me is Jimmy White and Neil Foles. Boys, lovely to see you. I'm glad you've made the effort.
Thank you.
What happened this afternoon? How
we were told we had to get it under in any way we could, hitchhike anything to make sure the programme went smoothly.
OK. Jimmy, was it a smooth journey up?
All the flights were cancelled, and we ended up staying at Houston last night and got the train. So I was quite
in America,
quite surprised how fast the train was. So we're here.
Houston, we have a problem.
Who's in charge of that journey?
Neil was transport manager.
Last
night, yeah.
Oh, they've upgraded your business title. Have they?
We're here, aren't we? We're here.
You are here. You are here. Fantastic.
Pleased to be here.
Alan, you were here this afternoon. We saw some interesting matches. We saw John Higgins hit a little bit of form throughout that match. That was good to see, of course. John did so well last season, got to the final of this event. He looked good this afternoon.
He looked very good. I was surprised he played as well as he did, quite honestly. But I think he was pleasantly surprised. After losing the first frame the way he did, he really turned it on. His safety was magic, as we're seeing here. Dropped him in behind the yellow. And from there, he really never gave Jack Lazowski many chances, and his long game was good. This was a stunning drop in red, and he was off and running again in what proved to be the last frame. Long game again. Perfect. Looked really strong after the disappointment last week. So good things to come for John.
Yeah, lost the first frame against Jack Lazowski and won the next 4. A few upsets already, including, of course, Barry Hawkins. Neil has been dumped out of the tournament. He lost 4-2 against Jamie Jones. That's quite a shock.
Yeah, I think, Barry, I think it's a terrific player. People are pleased to get this year over. He's had a rough spell of form. Here he is getting beaten by Jamie Jones, and everything's gone wrong. Of course, he lost a 6-0 last week in York to Sonny Akani, which seemed an odd result. And then we realised what a good player he was actually after that. Yeah, look, Barry will be back, that's for sure. But at the moment, he's struggling. Yeah,
let me ask you, Jimmy, I was speaking to Barry Hawkins actually on the practice table this morning. He was saying, they literally go from one competition now to another. They live out of a suitcase. And Alan and I were having a conversation this afternoon about that. Is there a danger that there's maybe too much snooker in the calendar or not?
I think this last 6 or 7 weeks has been horrendous. They went to Shanghai, back to Coventry, and then back to Shanghai again. They've got that wrong. They're going to sort that out for next season. But these players don't mind when they're winning. Everything's okay when they're winning, and Barry's just struggling a bit, but he seems to come good towards the end of every season. He does really well in the World Championships. He's just struggling at the moment. I'm sure he'll come good.
Yeah, one player who doesn't really mind about the calendar because he can pick and choose. And when he chooses, he tends to pick competitions that he wins. We've already seen Ronnie win, of course, one of the home nations. Last night, live on Eurosport, of course, we saw him pick up the UK title, Neil, for the 6th time, equaling Steve Davis's record.
Yeah, marvellous. He was marvellous in the final. He seemed to be a league above almost everyone he played leading up to it. Not Stephen Maguire, who you know what a good player he is, but along the way, you just think, well, how is X player going to beat him? And they can't. And, you think, well, you come here this week and it's best of 7s. It's going to be hard for someone like Ronnie, but he did win in Barnsley, so he can win these events too. Yeah,
Jimmy's one of your bestest pals. Is he getting better? I know it sounds silly at his age.
Well, I don't know. He was absolutely marvellous. And what was so impressive with me is, like, the Ronnie of old, he'd have won a few matches the way he played and said, oh, I played terrible there, I'm fed up with this. But he's just learning to scrap now. So when he's not playing at his top standard, he's still winning matches, and then all of a sudden, last night from 4 each, from onwards, he just went into a new gear and just, like, played top snooker, which he can't get beat. So it's hard work for everyone at the moment.
Yeah, it's, of course, part of the Triple Crown. The next 2 coming up would, of course, be the Masters in the new year. And then, of course, we end the season, as we always do, with the World Championships. There's the list of Triple Crown winners. Not many. I think it's only 2. Mark Williams and Stephen Hendry have done it in the same season. Alan, would I be right in saying it's more difficult to complete the Triple Crown as time evolves in snooker because everyone's getting better?
Oh, without question. The Masters in the UK are similar events, albeit the Masters is only 16 players. It's best of 11, but the World Championship's a different proposition when you factor in the Selby. Maybe one day in the future, Selby's going to have to face up to Ronnie at the Crucible, and actually I hope they do at some stage, hopefully the final. and we'll find out really what Ronnie's made of.
Yeah, we talk about how good Ronnie is, and we constantly say he's a genius, and we know that he's won everything that the game's got to offer on multiple occasions. Is he now, without doubt, in your mind, Neil, the greatest player ever to pick up a cue, or has he got to beat Stephen Hendry's record of 7 world titles to have that crown?
No, I think he is. But, when you say one's better than the other, I'm not saying anything bad about Stephen. He was he was a thorn in everybody's side, wasn't he? Great player. But I think Ronnie's achieving more over a longer period of time now. And, people that just want to look at a number and say, he's won 7 world titles. Anyone can look at that, I think he's the greatest player to pick up a cue. And Stephen is a clear margin second of all the rest.
Alan, when Stephen Hendry will be watching this and the rest of the tournaments, of course, on Eurosport, do you think he'll look at it with maybe some regret, the fact that he hung up his cue, if you can hang up a cue, a bit too early? Because there are some players, like Mark Williams, who saw, of course, in Northern Ireland, who's an oldie but a goodie. He's come back and he's won a tournament. He's still got ranking event wins in him. Do you think Hendry has any regret about stopping when he did?
I think he does quite a bit. I don't know if regret's the correct word, but a little story. I was at the Crucible probably about 3 years ago, and I was up in a little lounge, and I was reading the paper, and Stephen sitting across, and he was asking me about my practice, and I thought that was really stray. He would never ask me, why would he? And I said, I'm doing this, doing that, things are going all right, and I just got a feeling, and I looked him in the eye and I said, you're missing this in here, aren't you? We're in the Crucible. And he just kind of quietly nodded at me and kind of said, yeah, I am. So I think he does miss it, but his record's there. He's won everything multiple times, but it's a shame, I think, for everyone that his career didn't keep going for another few years.
Jimmy, of course, you're still playing, and you're doing well as well. Last couple of tournaments you've been in, you've had some great results. What's it like when you walk out on the match table?
Well, my last match, I had to get a golf buggy to get to my table. But I played my last match. I played Carter in the match arena, and I played really well. And my next match is the same for the other guy. I'm just enjoying it. I enjoy practicing. I still love the game, and I still occasionally have a good win, like I did with Carter. So while that keeps happening, I'm going to keep playing. As for Ronnie O'Sullivan, I just think he's more stronger mentally, And when you have someone like Ronnie as a sportsman who's so good at what he does, and everybody loves to watch him play, and he's still playing and enjoying it, we should just embrace that. Forget about all the records and just let him play like that as long as he can. I'm sure he'll beat all the records if he wants to. But let's just enjoy watching it.
Only time will tell. We will enjoy it. Ronnie, of course, playing tomorrow. Tonight we've got local favourite Steve Maguire a bit later on. But when we come back, our first game of the evening session, it features the Judd Trump. We'll see in a minute. And a warm welcome back to the Emirates Arena in Glasgow for the first evening session of this year's Scottish Open. You can see a bit later on. Home favourite Steve Maguire will be in action against Alex Borg. We're going to concentrate on Robin Hull. He takes on Judd Trump. And it's Judd we can hear from now. He caught up earlier on with Filster.
Judd, 2 finals in the home nations last season, very nearly another one here in Glasgow. Is it good to be back here?
Yeah, I enjoyed it last year. I thought it was good. I think it was the first time I've been back to Scotland for a while in a ranking event, and I seemed to play some good stuff. And in the end, John made a great recovery against me and put me out. But I felt like I played well here and kind of stood me in good stead for the rest of the season. Yeah,
Higgins just pipping you to the post to the final. Have you got the defeats at the Irish Open and the UK Championship out of your system now, do you think?
I hope so. I think obviously it's a long season. And you're gonna have bad spells. You have to limit them to as much as possible. I think other than Ronnie and Sean, even though Sean's had some early exits, I think apart from Ronnie, I don't really think anyone's really playing well this season. Everyone's a bit inconsistent. I think a lot of the players are getting it wrong with how many tournaments they're playing in and stuff like that. So I think. Yeah, Ronnie's really the only one with the confidence. It's just going out. He's playing players. People look scared against him. So I think hopefully for me it's sort of a good time to pick up some confidence for the rest of the season. Even though in spells I have played some good stuff and won events, it's still not quite been right just yet.
Well, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, Judd, certainly the favourite for this match. He is, of course, the European Master. He won that earlier on this season. But recently, his form hasn't been there, although he did play, Jimmy, pretty well at the UK, didn't he?
Well, unfortunately for him, Graham Dott played absolutely fantastic snooker. He's cleared up one game to stay with him. And then after the interval, he come out and played the next 4 frames. He never really had a chance, Judd Trump. Graham Dott would have beaten anybody that day. So he's just got to, you know, swallow that one and get on to the next one.
Yeah, Alan, it's not often we see animation in snooker players, certainly when they're at the table. That's just frustration, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Judd has shown signs recently of that, obviously against Stuart Carrington. What was it, over in Belfast? He conceded with, you know, Stuart still needing another 2 or 3 balls to put the match away. But, you know, as he said, it's a long season, so you have to accept that these results are going to happen. You might have an off day, the guy you're playing have a good day. And one thing to say is everyone's up for playing against Judd, you know.
Neil, you know his opponent, Robin Hull, pretty well. Of course, he knows what it's like to win a title. He's won the snooker shootout. That was before it was a ranking event. But when this player's in amongst the balls, he's tough to beat, isn't he?
When he won the shootout, I was surprised because he's not really overly quick player. I think the shootout, virtually anybody can win that as it happens. And it was him, 32 grand. That helped him get going again. He lost to Rhian Evans in the World Championship, but he's not been very good this season. But I rate him as a really good player who's had his problems. You know, if you go back far enough, which I know is a dangerous thing in snooker, but, you know, he was virtually in the top 16, had a real problem with his health, inner ear problems that he had to retire from playing. And he came back and just shown what a good player he is. It's a big stage for him. You know, he is second favourite by a long way here.
Don't forget, you can, of course, contact us on social media. Use the hashtag HomeNations. Any questions you've got for any of the gang, we'll do our best to answer them. Right, our first match of the evening session. Let's join our boys in the box, Joe Johnson, and first up, Dave Hendon.